Okay.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
On this week's episode, we're already okay. On this week's episode, we talk all about gatekeeping.
Dun dun dun. Also, we talk about what we've been into lately.
So, stick around.
Hi, and welcome to Rare with Flair,
The podcast where two 20-somethings with the same rare disease are out here just living our best lives. I'm your host, Casey.
and I'm your host, Cassandra. Well, we just wanted to make a quick episode. You see it in the title, or maybe you don't. I don't know how it's going to work out when we post it, but this is technically episode 9.5. And we're kind of doing it because in the US, it's a major holiday. It's Thanksgiving this week, so happy Thanksgiving to everyone in the US and, I guess everyone outside of the US too.
Yeah, we thought about taking off this week since it's a holiday, but we didn't want to do that, so we were like, we'll do a little mini episode. But I'm excited for Thanksgiving.
What are your plans, Case?
I'm just getting together with 3 of my family members, so small gathering over here. I know we're always talking about COVID. You guys know where we stand. We are vulnerable people, so we play it safe, and that's what we're going to do, but I'm still really excited. What about you?
Yeah, just me and my parents. My brother and his fiance are with her family, so we will see them for Christmas, but are you guys cooking or ordering food?
We're doing a little bit of both. So yeah, my situation is the same as yours. I'm just with my parents because my sister is also with her husband's side of the family. So we're doing a mixture of ordering some and cooking some food. You told me you were ordering, right?
Yeah, we're going to support a local business, and there are a couple local businesses actually. So we were seeing this local Hispanic restaurant they always do a Thanksgiving sort of takeout kind of thing, and we thought this year would be the perfect time to do that. And there's they have this turkey that's like marinated in tequila. Ooh. And stuffed with like chorizo sausage, and that sounds super good. And a lot of the local coffee shops on both around where my parents live and then where I live in Columbus, they will have, fancy pies that you can order. I mean, I don't know. I think they're fancy. But it's like bourbon pecan pie or something. So we got a few pies from a local coffee shop, and we're excited about that. Where's your food from?
I feel like we just didn't have the desire to cook a lot when it's just 3 people, which I feel like you probably felt the same way. But that's really cool to support local, and I'm sure it'll be amazing. You won't have to do all the work of cooking it. You just enjoy the eating.
I know,
really
right?
Exciting. Yes, and even though this year has been crazy, we have so much to be thankful for this year, including the pod being one of them, and we thank you all so much for listening. We're so grateful for you. Every time we get a new message or a new review, we text each other and say, did you read the review? And we get excited. We really do read all of it, and we can't thank you guys enough. It honestly
makes our day.
Cheese fest.
When we hear happy things, and so we're so glad to hear that this pod is important to you guys as listeners. We also, often we just forget because, it's almost just like we're recording a conversation we're having. So thank you so much for all the engagement. I know.
Yes, it makes me feel warm and fuzzy, and we hope you all have an amazing Thanksgiving, even if you're not in a country that celebrates Thanksgiving. We just hope you have an amazing week.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
actually, this will be posted after Thanksgiving, but sorry. Side note, this is going to be posted after Thanksgiving. We always do that. Whoops. Happy late Thanksgiving.
Yeah. So, this is a quick episode that I actually got a message from a friend of mine, and they asked a really insightful question that had to do with the main topic here. So we're not necessarily going to answer the question, but we are going to dive into the subject matter behind the question, which is gatekeeping. I don't know if everyone's familiar with the term gatekeeping, but the idea is, you know, standing guard at a gate, right? That's sort of the visual image you get. But the idea is that when you're a part of a certain group or outside of a certain group, people will kind of decide what factors make you a member. And so people will say, like, you're not actually this because you don't that, right? That's a really common gatekeeping type of statement. But this is so common in disability spaces and in pretty much any group that you can possibly be a part of. So we wanted to take the time and talk about it from disability side.
Yeah, and within the blind community, there's a few ways that gatekeeping goes on. The first example we could think of was within the blind community, there's gatekeeping with how blind you are. So if you wear glasses, if you read print, if you drive. And yes, I know that sounds a little nuts that blind people can drive, but some people who are considered legally blind can drive with a bioptic, which is a medical device. It's basically like glasses with a monocular or telescope or whatever you would, I've heard people call it both, on the end of it, so you can look through and, you know, read street signs or whatever you need to do if you have high enough vision to be qualified to do that. And it depends on what state you live in. But anyway, all of these things can make people gatekeep in the blind community and say, well, you're not blind enough. And it's a common theme in this podcast for us to talk about how we live in the gray area of we're not fully in the sighted world, but we're not fully in the blind world either. And that's a theme that's going to keep coming up, and it's something that we will continue to talk about. But have you ever had experiences, Cass, with this in the blind community?
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting in albinism spaces. I don't know if I'd per se call that the blind community, but it's kind of the first thing that came to mind. Some people with albinism, the spectrum of vision and visual acuity is really broad. So some people with albinism can see actually really well, to the point that they're not legally blind like Casey and I are, or they're not even considered to have quote unquote low vision. Some people can see really pretty well enough to drive without a device like a bioptic. But there is some sort of divide in kind of ideology on, you know, whether you should use tools for the blind or not. And I think that has caused a little bit of, I don't know if division, but just like different schools of thought within the community. You know, people like Casey and I that use canes and guide dogs, and people that don't, and they walk around with their sunglasses and they can pretty much do what they need to do. But we've explained before, for us, those are the things that help us the most, and they make us feel the most independent and allow us to, you know, be our fullest selves. But for other people, that's not how they see it. And so I think it's kind of different when you run into people of opposing schools of thought, and they're like, well, you don't really need that, do you?
Yeah, and you've gotten some comments that I've even seen about the fact that you wear glasses. Like, oh, well, you're not blind, you wear glasses. Even from people in the blind community. And, you know, I would think that they would know better, because there are people who can barely see anything who still wear glasses. If it can help you just the littlest bit, like, they do exist. So I hate that stigma, and I hate that. And I was going to tell a quick story of one time when I was almost a gatekeeper, actually, and I regret what I did, but I had this friend. She had albinism. I met her online, and I'm still friends with her today, but she was one of the first people I ever met with albinism, and we really related on a lot of things, and I clung to her. And then a few years after we had met, she actually started driving with a bioptic, and I really felt upset by it. I almost felt betrayed, which is so sad. I should have been I should have been happy for her, but I felt like I just couldn't relate to her anymore, because I feel like not driving is like a big thing for us. So
it's such a big thing.
It's something we relate on, you know? And so when someone starts driving, I just felt like I couldn't even relate to her anymore. I was like, you might as well be sighted. But that's just not true at all. Legally blind people who drive, they still have like a lot of the same struggles we do. They still struggle with driving. They might not be able to drive on the interstate or late at night, or, you know, they still have some restrictions, whether either by law or by choice. Some people just choose, like, oh, I don't feel comfortable driving at night or in bright daylight or whatever. Yeah. And so as I've grown up, I've come to realize, oh, she is still in this community, you know, because she is legally blind, and I didn't need to be that way, but I was young. I was about 18, probably. I was young, and I've learned, but, you know, we all gatekeep in our own way sometimes, and it's not cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes it's hard to not do that, and I think a lot of it stems from a place of being protective, because typically, you know, you see this happen in all kinds of groups. It doesn't have to be limited to minority groups, and I'll talk about that in a minute, but, you know, you can see that in even fandoms and, you know, pop culture things that people are into. But at the same time, when it's about, especially a minority group, most people in minority groups have experienced some level of struggle, whether it's social struggle, or in the disability community is also the physical struggle of just trying to do stuff. And so you want to make sure that people who actually shouldn't be there aren't there. And so I think it makes sense that you felt that way. But yeah, it's hard to, it's important to be on top of your biases.
I do want to say real quick too, though, as far as, you know, the reading print versus reading Braille, like, I think I'm speaking for both of us, and you can stop me if I'm not, but I think I'm speaking for both of us when I say that, like, we're not trying to say that our experience is the same as people who are totally blind and who can't read print. Like, we understand that we have more functional vision, and it's not the same experience. But like I said, we don't fit in the fully sighted world either. We're in this weird gray area, so we are still, the NFB and other big organizations like that say, hey, if you're legally blind, you're one of us. It's a different experience, but we're still, we still have the struggles of not driving and all of that. And so, yeah, we just want to say that. We're not trying to say we're totally blind or that we understand that experience, because we don't.
Yeah, totally not. So the other, like I said earlier, you can also see gatekeeping from outside of the community, and I think within the disability space, it's interesting because I think a lot of non-disabled people will like to say that, like, we don't see your disability, you aren't disabled, and they're sort of also preventing you from expressing that identity, in which, I mean, for us, would be in the right. Like, we are disabled and we do identify that way. But I think it's also important to note that, like, one, telling someone who is disabled that you don't see their disability isn't particularly kind. You know, they're telling you that because they feel that way, and if you say, like, no, you're not, you're kind of invalidating that.
Right. Yeah, and they really, a lot of times when I've been told this, because we all have, they really do have the best intentions, but it just kind of invalidates what we've been through our whole life and who we are, part of us, you know?
Yeah. And I think it also stems from a place of, like, not fully understanding what it means to be disabled. I think people think disability and they're like, oh, nonverbal or in a wheelchair or unable to, you know, have major motor functions. It's usually motor functions is how people perceive disability, I would think. Or the fact, or like cognitive disability, like autism, Down syndrome, those types of things. But when you're functional looking like us, when we're able passing or whatever you want to call it, you know, it is a lot harder for people to understand that and validate us in that.
Yeah. And I do feel like our friends treat us just normal, you know? And I think that's, if a good friend says that, that's probably what they mean is, like, I see you for you. But it's like, if you're not, I don't know, if I have a feeling that, like, if you're not seeing that part, you're not seeing the full spectrum of who I am. And my disability is not all who I am. I have so many more passions and things I do. But it's, like, definitely, if you took it away, I wouldn't be, like, fully me. And I, like, some people disagree with that. That's my opinion. some people would say that's wrong, but
yeah, the fact that it intersects itself in every part of my life, in everything that I do, like reading or just daily functioning, it's just part of it. And so, you know, it's part of me and what I do. But that's how I see it too.
Yeah, and we're not saying that just in a negative way. I think it's also shaped our personalities in a very positive way and made us see the world differently, you know, literally and figuratively. So, yeah.
Right.
And, yeah, it happens in other communities, too, and I know you have experience with that you wanted to touch on.
Yeah, sure. So, I'm Puerto Rican. My parents both came from Puerto Rico in their early 20s, and so I would be considered Latina, or some people would consider themselves people of color by being Hispanic. Personally, I've come to find that I don't really identify with the label of color just because I lack pigment because of albinism and I look white. And growing up in Ohio, I don't speak with an accent or anything. So I am pretty much white passing, but I am bilingual in Spanish. The culture is something that I grew up with. I grew up going to Puerto Rico fairly often. So it's hard to find that place to identify with both worlds because I've had trouble being in Latino spaces. I feel like I don't know what it is, but people have never fully accepted me in those spaces, and I can't fully say for sure because no one's kind of come out and said it, but I'm fairly convinced it's because of, I don't know if I think the term colorism more applies just because like I'm not brown. And so that's sort of been a struggle for me because, you know, being Hispanic is a big part of who I am. And when people kind of that are supposed to like accept you with that, they don't kind of want you in their group, even though, I mean, some people that are brown don't speak Spanish, but I do. So it's difficult and it's strange being part of both worlds, just like kind of Casey and I are with our vision. We're sort of part of the sighted world, but sort of part of the blind world.
Yeah, no, that's it. It's super fascinating, and that's something I obviously can't relate to. But I was talking to Cassandra the other night about how, so in the chronic illness space, which we have the rare disease Hermansky-Pudlak syndrome, and we've talked before in the past that Cassandra has type 1, which causes a lung disease, and I don't. And I remember when I first went to the conference that we have, I was scared that I would be gate-kept at the conference, like, oh, well, you're not as sick as we are, and you can't speak because of that, or whatever. And I felt like I shouldn't even speak. Like, I felt that way. I was like, maybe I shouldn't even go, you know? But I'm really grateful, actually. It was really shocking, but actually the community did fully accept me and treat me just like anybody else.
Yeah, I think it's, I mean, I'm surprised coming into our community. I really don't see any of that either on the HPS1 side. Like, I really think that everyone truly values each other's opinions. But it's funny, it's almost like you gate-kept yourself.
I did, and I did the same thing with the albinism community because I don't look albino. I have darker blonde hair. And I was scared when I went to the conferences that they would think, oh, well, you're not a true albino. You have dark hair. And I do get some of that sometimes, but for the most part, they were really great, too. So. Yeah,
I think a lot of people had the same problem, right? We both have, like, that sort of dirty blonde and not the bright white. But,
yeah.
I feel like a lot of people would actually be like, man, you're so lucky. Like, you get to pass. And I was just so jealous because I wanted white hair.
Yeah, well, that's why I feel like we're gatekept, though, because they think, oh, those people have never experienced what we have. And to be fair, we kind of haven't.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, like, you being Puerto Rican, like, almost, like, you, in your spaces, you do look albino. You know? Like, in Latino spaces, you look albino. Like, I never look different because I am white. So, like, I don't look like the rest of my family. I do. Like, my family is very pale. Like, so, like, I've never had so I feel like people look at me and they're like, you don't know our experience. I'm like, fair. That's fair.
Right.
Okay. I have nystagmus, and I've gotten a lot of comments on that throughout my life of your eyes look weird or whatever people say to me. So like that is a physical difference. I still do have that physical difference that like makes me feel a little bit different,
Mm-hmm. But you even have brown eyes, which I think is awesome and kind of wild.
It's also annoying, though, because people are like, you have brown eyes. I had this girl in my senior class, English class in high school, and she was like, you're not albino. You have brown eyes. And I was like, no, I am. And we fought about it. And I was like, girl, like, don't even try with me. I've been to so many doctors. Like, I don't understand. And I just gave up. It was some rando girl who knew nothing about medicine,
But she knows everything, clearly.
So, yeah. So I guess it's annoying on either side, because if you look albino and you say to someone, I have albinism, they would bebelieve you. So I guess it's annoying on both ends. Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
oh my goodness.
Basically, it's tough being like a minority, and also most of all, I guess moral of the story is like, just check your biases. I think it's really important to no one's immune. Even if you're in a space, don't get uber protective over it. Yeah, there might be some people that like want to come in your group, like the people who wear glasses and have their vision corrected by them, who want to be part of our elite club. But it's just important to believe people.
Yeah, it is. Like, come on, people. Like, let's all be friends. Like, we're members of fandoms and stuff, and I'll let anybody in that likes the shows I like without having to name all the episode titles like I do. I think that's the main takeaway is just, I think we need to all have a more open mind and not judge people right away of their experiences, because we don't know people's experiences, and we all have different experiences, and I think we've probably all experienced this in some form or another. So, yeah, I think that's the main takeaway.
Awesome. Well, we wanted to do a quick what are you into lately?
Yes. Do you want to go first? I haven't even I should have thought about this before we recorded, and I really haven't.
Okay. So, let's see. 3 things. I am almost done with my Christmas shopping, so I was really excited about that.
Very exciting. I am done. I'm so excited.
Oh, that's so great. Yeah, I'm finalizing my last few gifts, but I'm nearly there. I think another thing I've been doing lately is I've been trying to get into like home decor, interior design type stuff. I'm learning so much, and I didn't know that there were styles for those things, and those styles had names. I felt like I had the world revealed to me. I was like,
yes,
mid-century modern really actually means something.
Yes, mine would be shabby chic or cottagecore.
I totally see that for you. Yeah, I would say I'm somewhere between mid-century and bohemian.
Oh, I love that. Yes.
Yeah, I have a lot of like eclectic pieces that don't really fit into sort of the 70s look, but I like some of that, and I have like a hammock chair in my living room.
Yes,
and
perfect.
I love it.
I can totally see that for you. I love that.
And my last thing is that Casey and I were talking about this before this call. We were like, we should have saved this for what are you into lately? But it was funny because we were joking around about how, when I was growing up, I remember seeing the stores Loft and Ann Taylor, and I always thought that they were like old lady, like mom stores. And a couple weeks ago, I was looking for a specific kind of top, and I ended up looking on Loft, and they had the cutest stuff, and I was like, I don't know if it's just that I'm getting older, or if Loft actually had cute stuff and I never paid attention.
And I literally had the same realization lately, which is insane, through Facebook ads. I was like, wait, this is really cute stuff. Maybe we're just getting old. I don't know.
I think so. I think that's a big part of it.
Maybe that's it. I haven't, because probably the youngsters are listening going, ew, Loft.
On today's revelation, we're getting older.
We old. No, I love that though.
So what are you into lately?
Okay, so my first thing, and I posted this on our Instagram story. Follow us on Instagram, rare.with.flare. I got my leopard dogs, everybody. I needed to let you know. I got the leopard Doc Martens for my birthday. I am so into them. They are just everything I ever wanted, and I'm very happy. I love shoes. I'm so into shoes. It's sad. Like, I just look at my shoe collection sometimes, and I just stare at them. Like, I literally just, like, pick them up and hold them. It's weird, I know.
I really like that.
I do. I love shoes. I'm, like, turning into, like, Carrie Bradshaw or something. And then, my next thing, yes, Christmas. I'm all about it. I've fully decorated. I've fully done all my shopping. I'm making not making, but like I made online Christmas cards this year to send out to everybody for the first time. Ooh. And listen, I'm a single lady. I don't got a husband. I don't got kids. I put me and my dog on it. I don't care. Like,
that's what I did last year, and I'm prepared to do it again. Oh, great. But I do like a New Year's card. Huh?
Oh, I love that. That's great. I said I can't wait to receive your card. If I'm going to be sent a card, of course. I'm just kidding.
I'll have to think about it, of course.
And, yeah, and like I guess the other thing that kind of goes along with that is I've been really into Christmas media. Like, so I'm a Christmas person, and around the holidays I love watching Christmas movies, Christmas TV episodes, all that stuff. So I've been watching a lot of that. And I want to watch the one you told me about called, is it Jingle and Jangle? Is that what it's called?
Jingle Jangle. It's on Netflix.
Jangle. I need to watch that because you told me about it. So
yeah, the costumes are amazing.
I can't wait. I gotta watch all the Christmas stuff. Like, I've just gotta, because when this month ends, then I can watch normal things again. So yeah, I guess that's what I've been into lately. And you know, maybe spoilers for the next episode. What?
Wink, wink.
Wink. Wait, you can't see us winking, but we're winking like really hard right now. Anyways,
thanks for coming to our mini episode.
Yes, email us at hello@rarewithflair.com. That's it, right? Why did that sound wrong?
Oh yeah, leave us. Yeah, that's the right one. Leave us a review and give us a rating. We're up to 57 ratings on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much, everyone. If we will keep saying this until we get to those 100 reviews or / ratings, so that we can hear Casey's dog voice. It is worth the wait.
You guys really pulled through last week. We got like a lot of reviews last week. So thanks for doing that. And we hope we get more because, yeah, we want to hear the dog voice. And yeah, and follow us on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. We're on like every single social media possible. So why not follow us and get updates on what we're doing?
Well, everyone, I hope you had a safe Thanksgiving because it was in the past, and that you stay safe throughout the end of the month and as we head into December. Yay. Bye.
Bye.